receive a lump sum of money from the government. And for a guy who felt he could no longer provide for his family, his own death seemed like the only option. One morning, not too long after, police showed up to
Don't
Joe
tell
Bird's
me.
current residence at his parents' house with a warrant for his arrest due to past due child support payments. Seeing as to how small of a town French Lick was, the officers knew Joe Bird, and Joe Bird knew the officers, which is why when he asked them for an hour or two to get his things in order, they obliged, saying they'd be back later that day to take him in. By then, though, it would be too late.
Oh
After
my
the
God.
officers left,
Told y'all we coming back with the Larry Bird videos with a different setup. Uh, Hopefully y'all can hear me right. Let me make sure I got this sound on correct, cause last night I did a video for y'all and the audio was with multiple audios. So everything that I said, you heard it 2 or 3 times. I don't know why it was like that, but it was. Maximize this real quick. Make sure y'all can see me pretty well. You know what I mean. Y'all know I be trying to stay a little spiffy out here. Yeah, that's not right. But I'm not about to make y'all wait for this good old Larry Bird content that y'all been waiting on for a few days now. But I told y'all I was updating that equipment. If you had followed my post that I had posted on YouTube, appreciate you. I seen I had a couple likes on there. Hey y'all, be sure to like the videos, man. Y'all gotta like the videos so more people can come to the channel and join the content with us. Now that I got this going, we're gonna be doing a whole lot more than just Larry Bird too. So if you got any other videos that you want to see me react to, please drop them in the comments. That way I can check them out and we can get straight to it. But don't let me talk y'all to sleep here. Let's get to this good old Larry Bird video I had set up for y'all. This one's called A Heartbreaking Larry Bird Story You Don't Know. We watched a lot of Larry Bird on this channel, so let's see what it's talking about. Can y'all hear that?
We've seen the league go back and forth, you know, and crowd is standing up. It goes now to Bird. Bird goes up top.
That's his famous move right there. That 1 foot runner. He made so many game winning shots like that.
All right, Haynes is going to put the ball into play.
My bad.
Where do we go? It's going to go to Bird. He's got a shot. Get it. He's got it. A 3-5
Hey, they looked disappointed, didn't they? They thought they were about to win. Nice try. Wrong guy. The Bird is in the building. Oh yeah, they was up too.
moments like these were commonplace at the TD Garden over the course of Larry Bird's illustrious NBA career. Larry Bird, a man once revered as a god, for on the basketball court, it seemed that he was. Whether it be his penchant to humiliate opponents with his otherworldly creativity with the ball in his hands, or with his unrelenting trash talk, tales of Bird's heroics and sacrifice are that of legend in the basketball universe. However, while stories of the feats that Larry Bird accomplished on the hardwood continue to echo and reverberate throughout history, what about tales of how Larry Bird became Larry Bird? How a boy from French Lick, Indiana, transformed into the man who many across the world came to love so dearly. Ladies and gentlemen, that is what we're going to be taking a look at today. The origin of Larry Bird and the man who created him.
And he had the whole opposition team going crazy. The oppositions, the people he's playing against, they were going crazy on the bench. I'm talking about falling over into each other's lap when he made that shot. That's the game he scored 60 points. Right after he had told Kevin McHale he was going to beat his 57-point record. Talking about Kevin McHale, why you stop playing in the fourth quarter? You supposed to keep going. If I ever get the opportunity, I'm going to keep going. That's how you know Larry Bird was ruthless. He didn't care about none of that. They could have been up 40. He was going to still put y'all up. He wanted to be up 80 on y'all. Hey, but hey, shout out to Larry Bird though. Hey, if you ain't like the video yet, like the video, silly butt. Come on now. Let's get it.
Shout out to SeatGeek for sponsoring this video. SeatGeek, the world's best way to purchase tickets to NBA games or any other live events.
I'll
With
check
a
them
host of
out.
Features, including being able to see a view from a seat before buying a ticket, a rating system for prices to make sure you're getting the best deal available, and also
Floor
getting
seats
$20
for
off your first
$100?
order by using the promo code SDC at checkout. The app really is a must-have for anyone who attends or plans to attend live events. Once again, thank you to SeatGeek for sponsoring this video, and I'll have the link so you can download the app down in the description box below.
Hey, I would check that out.
Let's face it, a majority of NBA players don't emerge from the most ideal circumstances. As for the most part, their early lives are filled with turmoil and grief caused by the effects of crippling poverty. Exposure to such an environment at an early age oftentimes being the catalyst that fuels their desire, their need for greatness. Born into a situation that affords them with very little to lose, they're able to bet it all, swing for the fences, and pray that their determination and efforts will someday pay off and provide both themselves and
My
their
dog,
families
Derrick
with
Rose.
goals well beyond anything they would have previously been able to comprehend. Especially in today's world, where being elite in between the four lines found in the hardwood
Look at
results in
Bron
riches that
pulling
most
out in the
people
slab.
even in their wildest of dreams. That, though, wasn't necessarily the case for Larry Bird. Now, don't get me wrong, his upbringing was far from anything that would be considered ideal, but what was different about Bird was that his passion for the game of basketball didn't come from the thought of the riches that would come his way as a result. Since back in the days of Bird's youth, being a professional basketball player was more or less a side hustle as opposed to a lucrative career, and the NBA as a whole at the time didn't seem like it was destined to be around much longer. With the Jerry West, Wilt Chamberlains, and Bill Russells of the world all retired, the league was now faced with the problem of not having adequate enough star power to overshadow the infestation of players addicted to various illegal substances.
Wow.
So with all of that in mind, the question of what in the world drove Larry Bird to become the legendary player that we all know him as today becomes that much more intriguing as a result.
That's a good
To
question.
find the answer to that question, you need not look any further than the people responsible for bringing him into the world in the first place, Joe and Georgia Bird. Growing up wasn't always easy for me. My family didn't have much, so we appreciated anything we had. The way I grew up was very different from most people who I have met. Very different than most people grew up is nothing short of an understatement. Born and raised in French Lick, Indiana, for the longest time, Larry...
Where is French Lick, Indiana at? Is that like northern Indiana or is that like southern Indiana? Like, or is that mid Indiana? Like, where is that at? And that's like a weird name. Who, French Lick? Hey man, I'm not disrespecting the name of nobody's city. The city I live in got a name I don't even like. So I mean, it's just, I'm just asking questions here. But let's get back to it.
Unaware of the depths of financial disparity that his family faced, mostly because in the small town of French Lick, everyone was poor. His father and mother worked tirelessly throughout the week in order to provide for Larry and his 5 siblings. His mother as a waitress at 2 different restaurants, while his father constantly moved from one factory job to another. His parents, working long hours throughout the day, Bird and his siblings were often left searching for ways to occupy their time outside the house, which for the longest time was done through the sport of baseball, which he and his brothers enjoyed playing on a concrete field not too far from his home, which in retrospect might not have been the best idea since errant balls typically resulted in broken windows that the Birds couldn't afford to fix. It was during these tough times, however, that Bird learned some very important life lessons that would carry with him throughout his playing career, of which none were more important to Bird than the concept of working hard for a day's pay no matter what the circumstances, a lesson Bird would learn from his father. See, even though Joe Bird switched jobs on a regular basis, he seemed to always take pride in whatever work it was he was doing at the time. When you're doing something, make sure you see it to the end. Put the finishing touches on it, then you can have something to be proud of.
Facts.
In essence, that is what Joe Bird told his son Larry that instilled the belief in Larry that no matter what happens throughout the course of a season, awards, accolades, milestones, it was all meaningless unless he and the Boston Celtics finished the year by winning a championship. After all, how could someone as competitive, and driven as Bird ever take pride in losing. This
Wow.
was the guy
Facts.
who played through numerous injuries that would have sidelined other players, all because he wanted to see the job to completion. Unless he could not physically walk out of the court, Larry Bird was going to give you everything that he had, which happens to be another trait that Bird picked up from his father, as Larry recounts a time when his father came home from working a long day of construction aided by 3 other men. The men had to help Joe Bird not only walk home, but also take off his boots as Joe's foot had been badly mangled on the job. According to Larry, it looked like someone had taken a sledgehammer to it. Despite that though,
Wow.
Larry said his father Joe never complained a single time, but instead merely propped his foot up, grabbed a couple of beers, and when morning came, laced up his boots as tight as he could, and went back to work. See, Joe Bird realized that missing even a single day of work will result in his family being unable to eat that day. With his wife working 2 jobs in order to make ends meet, how could he stay home from work just because of a jacked up foot? The man had his pride after all, and he was willing to do whatever he felt was necessary in order to provide for his family. Despite his efforts though, Joe Bird was barely able to make ends meet. Most of the time after the Birds paid the bills and brought groceries for the week, they'd be lucky to have 20 bucks left over. And even the groceries that they bought never seemed to last past the 4th day of the week. After that, the Bird siblings were forced to survive off eating sliced bread along with whatever leftover condiments they could find until their father got paid again. Eventually,
His parents raised him right. They showed him right. They raised him right. And they installed some good morals, values, and beliefs inside of that man. 'Cause everything that they said that his dad and his mom had did in order to get by and stay ahead and stay afloat in life, Larry Bird carried that to the basketball court. And he wore it on his chest like Superman do that S. Like, that say a lot about why he played basketball the way he played basketball with his all. Hey, shout out to his parents.
the financial bind that had ensnared the Birds took a toll on their family, mainly Joe and Georgia Bird. With Joe refusing to sell a house that they could no longer afford, the prospects of any type of change in the near future looking bleak, Joe and Georgia eventually divorced, forcing Joe to give up the house and move back in with his parents. And the divorce, losing the house, and moving back in with his parents on top of the fact that he couldn't afford to pay the child support that he owed for 6 children, sent Joe Bird spiraling into a deep and dark depression.
Ooh.
And as the holidays came around, it became clear to Larry that the funk his father was in wasn't going to end anytime soon, if at all. I'm not going to be around much longer. No use in me living this way. You kids would be better off if I was gone. When those words traveled from the mouth of Joe Bird into the ears of his adolescent son Larry, even at a young age, Larry knew what was going to come next, even if everyone else thought Joe Bird was just trying to make another one of his melodramatic attempts at a joke. It was no joke. Having served in the Korean War, Joe Bird knew that if he died, his family would receive a lump sum of money from the government, and for a guy who felt he could no longer provide for his family, his own death seemed like the only option. One morning, not too long after, police showed up
Don't
to
tell
Joe Bird's
me.
current residence at his parents' house with a warrant for his arrest due to past due child support payments. Seeing as to how small of a town French Lick was, the officers knew Joe Bird, and Joe Bird knew the officers, which is why when he asked them for an hour or 2 to get his things in order, they obliged, saying they'd be back later that day to take him in. By then, though, it would be too late.
Oh
After
my
the
God.
officers left, Joe Bird used the time to say his final goodbyes to a few of the people he was close to in town, headed to the pub for a final pint of beer, went back to his parents' home, and ended his own life in their backyard with a shotgun. His family was devastated. At the time, Larry was 19 years old and just beginning to ascend into the player who, alongside Magic Johnson, would breathe a breath of life into the exasperated NBA.
Yo, that is so sad. You know, with it being year 2023, so many men out here considering life to be so hard as it is for themselves. Men have been going through this for a very long time. And for Larry Bird to have gone through that with his father at basically the beginning of his life is even sadder. I mean, I've always been the type person to use my past situations that I've been through in life as like fuel to me to want to get somewhere in life. And I can tell you now, that was something that fueled Larry Bird. There was no way he was going back to that life. There was no way he was going back to that life. Now I know why he had his head down in that championship game when he played against Magic Johnson. Now we know why we see Larry Bird up and down the basketball court with busted ankles and feet and a bad back. Now we see why Larry Bird trash talked everybody. That's the stuff that he been through in life. It creates monsters, but it also create heroes. And I think in order to be a good hero, you have to put yourself front line from the challenges that a lot of people are not willing to take. And being a person that plays sports, trash talking or saying the things out loud, you know, when you're working out, I could do it, 10 more, motivating yourself. I think Larry Bird more so trash talked, not for getting under people's skin, which I know he probably did enjoy, but more so to give himself another reason to not fail. In the back of his head, I just trash talked this person and said I was gonna make this shot. So now I gotta make this shot. And if I don't make this shot, my head gonna be down. And I can't allow my head to be down. Man, I commend Larry Bird. I commend him a lot, for real. To have to go through watching his father work hard. Like extremely hard. No matter what. And still not come out a winner. You know, rest in peace his soul, Joe Bird. Rest in peace his soul, you know. But hey, Joe Bird, if you listening to this, you made a good one. You made a strong one. You made a legend, a hero, a good influence. And the man has paved the way for basketball since he's gotten in the league. Shout out to you. Let's finish this video, y'all, before I end up dropping a tear.
Making it even sadder, since had Joe Bird stuck it out just a little while longer, things would have started to turn around for both him and his family more than he could have ever imagined.
Yep. Man, that's the end of the video, y'all. Drop a like, drop some in the comments what y'all think about that. Did y'all know that Larry dad had, you know, basically took his own life in order to give his kids a better life, with the hopes that they will get, you know, some sort of assistance from the government because he was a veteran? Drop some in the comments about veterans. Shout out to them. You know, what do y'all think about everything that go on with veterans? More so, do y'all think that the stuff that he went through right at the brink of his career, his legendary lifestyle, his legendary life, do y'all think that was fueled by him watching his father go through all those hard times and working 2 jobs? Same thing with his mom, but his father took his life. Y'all think that fueled him? I don't know. I want to know what y'all know. That's why I'm asking y'all to drop some in the comments. What's your boy, DtaeNoDinero? Even though I got more equipment, and you know, it look like I'm doing my thing, I'm not. I'm trying to be filthy. I'm messing around. Hey, but it's your boy Dtae, man. Y'all know what I gotta say, man. We out. Peace.